He riddles me. The ancient riddle. What's the point? Have you ever seen an eagle flying back to his home with dinner for the missus and all the little eagle babies? And he's flying against the wind, and he's flying in rain, and he's flying through bullets and all kinds of hell. And then right at that moment, he's about to get back to his nest. He says, "Oh, what the fuck? It's a drag being an eagle." And right then, two little X's comes across his eyes, just like in the old-fashioned cartoons, and he goes plunging down, and down, and down, and bam! It's just a splatter of feathers. And then we don't have the national bird of America no more. Did you ever see that?
What is real? How do you define real? If you're talking about what you can feel, what you can smell, what you can taste and see, then real is simply electrical signals interpreted by your brain.
Have you ever been in an institution? Cells.
Cells.
Do they keep you in a cell? Cells.
Cells.
When you're not performing your duties, do they keep you in a little box? Cells.
This causes it. This causes it. This causes it. Information overload. All the electronics around you poisoning the airwaves.
You are listening to the High Tech Low Life podcast, a cyberpunk media retrospective. High Tech Low Life contains language and themes not suitable for all audiences, as well as spoilers for the content being covered. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome back, everybody, to the High Tech Low Life podcast with your hosts, Eric and Josh. Me llamo Eric.
Me llamo Josh.
We're back with another classic piece of 1990s cyberpunk adjacent film.
Woof.
Covering a fan-suggested Freejack.
Yeah.
And I've got thoughts on it. It's a woof, 100%, but it does leave room for conversations, put it that way.
It does, though I am kind of hoping we can knock this one out in a tight 45.
Yeah, we'll see how long the pre-show stuff goes. There's room for conversation, but it doesn't have to be a lot of conversation.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're back again. I feel like hot off of the heels of Idoru, which was quite an undertaking, into a movie which is quite...
An undertaking in a very different sense.
Yeah.
But hey, we got 2 weeks out of it, and I hope that the audience appreciates all of the work that you did at cutting upwards of 50 minutes out of the back half.
That was out of part two. I easily cut an hour out of the whole thing of us jibber jabbering.
I listened to the two-parters and the ones with like guests because I'm always just like, I don't know, morbidly curious.
Mm-hmm.
Because as we've discussed before, as soon as I stop recording the podcast just disintegrates from my brain.
Yes.
It
leaves. It puts its hat and coat on, says goodbye, slams the door.
Good day to you, sir. It takes off. And I'm always curious, like, listening to it, what did we talk about? A, and B, what do I faintly remember discussing that like gets triggered by something in my brain? And then I go, oh, wow, Eric cut out like 10 minutes there because we spent way too long talking about the 1992 Oliver Stone film JFK or whatever.
Yeah, I didn't cut out as much of that JFK convo as I probably should have.
Yeah.
But I was less heavy-handed back then. I'm starting to get more heavy-handed just because we're starting to get more verbose in our old age. Speaking of which, we're doing it again.
We are.
Shall we discuss? Okay, so we are a little bit ahead of schedule. This is going to come out not the 28th, but the 4th, if all goes well.
Yeah.
So who knows what's going to happen in the next 10 days. Hopefully nothing bad.
Yeah.
But since we've recorded 2 weeks ago, I feel like some stuff has happened. The DNC happened.
Oh,
Is
yeah,
that-
yeah. The
That was
DNC was
pretty dystopic. Honestly, it was very dystopic.
Yeah, we're going to have the most lethal military in the world.
Yeah.
Again, or still, I'm not sure.
Like, in our episode 2 weeks ago, we were pretty optimistic about the election, and I remain that way. I'm glad it looks like we have a chance against Trump. But also, that just the clips I saw of that Democratic convention and how the propaganda, the USA chants, all the celebrities not letting any Palestinians speak at all, and it was
or any Arab Americans at all.
true. Yeah,
Um,
it was uncomfortable. And it's like, why? Why do that?
Well, and I've already switched over to being pretty uncomfortable with how the enthusiasm has remained super high without criticism for Kamala.
Yeah.
I was really hoping, like, once the DNC quit, we could get some substantive, like, okay, she's better than Trump, but remember, there are still these things to be addressed. And I see a lot of people being just shut the fuck down because, what, do you want Trump to win?
Right.
You know?
That's been like the fucking motto for the last year, I feel like, at least since October. I don't know. I was enjoying the vibe shift when it happened quite a bit, and I was for a while skipping past videos or tweets, trying to bring things down. But I don't know, something about the DNC was like that. Let some Palestinian people speak. Let some uncommitted delegates speak. Like, what do you have to lose just letting them talk?
Yeah.
You let the goddamn actual Republicans talk. Come on.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's never gonna be satisfying.
But did you see JD Vance's haircut?
With this weird little duck butt in the back?
Man, that guy does not know how to human at all. Like,
that donut shop appearance, man.
I can 1000% tell that he was never actually poor because he has no idea how to act in a donut shop, because at least in my youth, and, by time-wise, his youth as well, like, a donut shop is a place where you could get some amount of, like, sort of luxury, fancy, like, this is a real treat for actually almost no money.
Used to be that way. Been to Lamar's lately? It's a big thing on the Casey Reddit.
Yeah, that is absolutely true. That's why I'm placing it in time.
Yeah. Oh my God. It's like $5 for a glazed at Lamar's.
Yeah,
anyway,
it is truly shocking.
some local rage.
Yeah. But every fucking poor kid knows how to order, knows what kind of donut they prefer, for God's sake. What kind of fucking monster is like, I don't know.
He was literally saying, give me some of those, give me some of the sprinkly ones, whatever. It was
whatever makes sense. Like,
whatever
what
makes
the fuck
sense.
does that
They
mean?
all make sense. They're fucking donuts.
They're goddamn
Do you
donuts,
like
you idiot.
nuts? Do you like maple? Come on, man.
Yeah.
He clearly wasn't going to eat them.
Yeah. Yeah, it's also that video is also illustrative of the fact that his campaign team are very fucking bad at it, because I mean, they absolutely, when you do those kinds of things that you're going to put out on the media, and even when you aren't, you have advance men. I mean, there's a whole fucking name for them who go in ahead of time, say, hey, vice presidential candidate J.D. Vance is going to be coming into the shop in a few minutes.
Does anybody here not want to be on camera?
Yeah, and other things, like to prime them that somebody's coming, It's truly fucking insane. Like, not only is he not a human, he's also not a campaigner, apparently.
Yeah. He's a robot, but he wasn't built for campaigning. He was built for
Couch fucking.
Writing bad fiction. I don't know. Whatever. Let's talk about recommendos. Do you have them?
I have one. It is pretty, I mean, it'll still be airing when this episode drops on Apple TV, a program called Bad Monkey.
Interesting. Never heard of it.
Yeah, I hadn't until 2 weeks ago, I think. The first episode dropped like 2 days after I saw the first trailer that I'd seen for it. And I assumed that was just because I'd been in the desert. But it is an Apple TV program starring Vince Vaughn. Yeah, I know. I was initially hesitant. Based on a Carl Hiaasen novel. And
Carl Hiaasen. That name is very familiar. What did he do recently that I've read?
Recently?
Or not recently, within the last 20 years.
Okay, within the last 20 years. Well, he wrote the novel Striptease, which was 30 years ago.
Okay, I read that. Absolutely.
Did you? Okay.
Yes, I think you gave it to me.
Yeah, that's very possible. Carl Hiaasen typically writes very comedic crime stories and novels. And this is and it's one of those. I haven't actually read this one of his books. It's one of the more recent ones, but it is very much, and you wince when I said Vince Vaughn. Mm-hmm. Carl Hiaasen tends to write exactly the frequency on which Vince Vaughn tends to kind of work, where it's glib asshole.
Yeah, I kind of remember that.
So this is a very good synthesis between material and medium, I guess.
Okay, I can see Vince Vaughn doing glib asshole quite well.
Yeah, it's good. It's got a really good supporting cast. It's about some crimes in Florida involving and the Bahamas involving real estate and restaurant inspection.
And it's called Monkey Torture?
Bad Monkey. Okay. Monkey Torture.
Bad Monkey.
Yes.
A lot of good monkey things this year. Interesting.
Oh, yeah. Good point. Yeah.
I've got recommendos. I'm not prepared to divulge what I'm watching right now.
Okay.
Maybe in the future.
All right. That's...
it is
dread-inducing.
It should be. But what I do want to do, since we didn't get a chance to do it last time, and it's a little late now, but still, I want to add our voices to the chorus of yelling at streaming service for somebody to pick up Evil for another season.
Oh, yes. Thank God. Yeah, that was going to be my second recommendo, to tell everybody to go and watch Evil. And yeah.
They got, I guess, canceled, not picked up for their final. I think final is supposed to be only one more, right? Or maybe that wasn't set in stone.
This, okay, they got soft canceled. The first 10 episodes, up through a month ago of this season, were the third season, and then Paramount basically said, hey, we're not going to give you another full season, but if you want to wrap it up.
Okay, well, it's better than nothing, but...
So they made 4 episodes to kind of, I don't know, put a bow on it and also point at where it could go in the future. And yeah, so it was about the gentlest version of that as you can get these days. But the creators have said, and all of the cast have been like, we want to keep doing this show. It's a lot of fun. We've got a bunch of cool ideas.
Yeah, if you haven't, I know we've talked about it several times, just because it's so fucking weird, man. And it's weird in a fun, delightful way. It's also if you're a horror movie fan, it's got some scary parts in it too.
It's also got some fucking cyberpunk shit.
That's true. Yeah, it's very computer cyberspace.
Yeah, it's more so than you would have any reason to suspect.
It's like Black Mirror if it wasn't so fucking depressing.
Yeah.
A lot more Catholic bullshit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was sad to hear it wasn't coming back because I just really gotten to love the cast of that show. They're also good.
It's a show that it fires on all cylinders all the time.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a couple episodes where I'd go, oh yeah, if I was rewatching it, like, oh yeah, this one, and maybe potentially skip, but I can't think of a single one that I would definitely go, fuck that up.
Yeah,
I mean,
me either.
there's
Also,
just too much bizarre fun bullshit.
still possibly my favorite intro, at least in the modern age of TV. I love their intro so much.
Don't skip for old time's sake.
Yeah. Just somebody pick it up.
Yeah.
If you're David Zaslav listening to this podcast, which we know you do,
Yeah.
stop emailing us, David. Pick them up.
Yeah, I strongly recommend the first couple of seasons are currently on Netflix. If you want to watch it on there, maybe Netflix will pick it up. Not that, that isn't a cursed chalice. That isn't a poisoned chalice all on its own. But,
yeah,
to get another season, I don't know. I'd take it.
Yeah.
So check it out and realize that, just FYI, one of the fun things about this show is that it started on broadcast, the first season, and then it switched over to streaming, at which point there were tits and people saying fuck all the time.
Yeah,
so
it's kind of jarring.
There's an interesting transition there.
I've tried to introduce it to people, and they're like, I don't know, it's kind of slow, and not that and I just have to tell them, it gets real fucking weird. Just hang in there.
It is, and it is, like, we can't understate how deeply weird of a show it is.
Yeah. So anyway, that's my recommendo. Whatever else I'm watching will have to remain a mystery.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
All right, shall we get to Freejack?
I guess we have to. Okay, we're going to play a really fun game on this episode of the show. I don't know if it'll actually be fun, nor is it technically a game. But we are going to find out in real time together with the audience how my notes hold up towards the end.
Uh-oh.
Because
was there chemicals involved?
I watched this movie yesterday afternoon. Unfortunately, I didn't think it would be quite the trial that it was. So it didn't occur to me like, oh, my first watch should be a notes watch, because I try to give everything like at least two. Like, I want to, I want to be able to pay attention to it and not be writing shit down and be able to pick up the vibes.
If I was doing what you're doing, I would do it the same way.
Yeah. But then it took me like many hours after I finished watching it. And I ate dinner, had a few beers, and so on and so forth. And then it got to be like, I don't know, 9:30. And I was like, oh, fuck, I got to watch this goddamn movie again.
Plus, I was probably rage texting you through my watching of it.
Yeah, I got to watch this fucking movie again. And I reached a point roughly 45 minutes in when I paused to go pee or something. And I saw just how long was left on the film. And I was like, oh my God. So I had to escalate the drinking after that. So we'll see how coherent the back half of the film is. Well, I honestly don't know. I have not looked at them. So
a lot of the back half is pointless action scenes, so it might not even matter. But let's start with like an overview of the plot, because on its face, it's pretty cool, actually, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly not a bad fucking idea. It's kind of the opposite of Looper.
Yeah, Looper.
Rian Johnson film with Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Bruce Willis. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember Looper. It took place right outside of Kansas City in that giant cornfield that we all know.
Yeah.
So, guy, race car driver, on the day of his death, is whisked forward in time right before dying so that his body can be a vessel for billionaires who want to achieve immortality. Sounds pretty cyberpunk. Sounds pretty dealing with a lot of the themes that the genre loves to deal with.
Yeah, it really does. Other themes the genre loves, sexy saxophones.
I did quite enjoy the music in this movie. I can't lie. It took me back, especially like the very beginning part. Yeah.
Yeah, the sexy sax over the Freejack assembling in the credits.
Yeah.
This is a movie that could have used roughly 45 minutes cut out of it. Actually, how long is it? It's like 9 hours. I think.
No, it's
It is
it's an hour and 49.
Yeah, it is shockingly short for how long it feels.
Yeah. I don't want to. We're gonna dog shit it, obviously.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find the positive in it because I feel like there is some to mine.
There is, but it is buried in so much nonsense, just like repetitive bullshit.
We've watched worse, right?
Yeah. I mean,
It might be a bottom 5, but I don't think.
yeah, it's near the bottom, but it's not the worst thing we've seen. Like, shit. Let's see. What are the bad things we've watched? Fucking Universal Soldier. That wasn't good, but I would say it was probably somewhat better than this, if only for the "Can you hear me now?"
I don't know about
Speaking
that.
into severed ears.
Yeah, that was that was a good scene. The Jean-Claude. Cyber.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Fuck. What's that called?
Cyborg. It's just called Cyborg.
Yes, it's just called Cyborg.
That might be the worst one we've done.
I think that's, if it isn't the worst, it is definitely in the running. But this is shockingly low for the amount of money that was thrown at it, or at least.
And the cast, like Anthony Hopkins is in this movie.
And this is, let me look real quick. This is either the year of, or maybe the fucking year after Silence of the Lambs. Oh wow, this is the year of Dracula, or
Which
Bram
I just
Stoker's
watched the
Dracula.
other day.
Yes, the year after Silence of the Lambs. So this is Oscar winner Anthony Hopkins in this film. I also just watched Bram Stoker's Dracula like a couple of weeks ago.
Holds up.
That movie has a lot going for it.
I fucking love that movie.
I don't think it's a fucking amazing movie, but fuck, if nothing else, the production design is sumptuous, and so many of the performances are just like top tier, fucking god level. Like Tom Waits should have gotten a goddamn Oscar for eating fucking bugs.
Absolutely. In this house, we pray at the altar of Keanu. Not just me, who did a podcast based around one of his films, but my wife as well. And she was looking for Keanu movies she hadn't seen, and she hadn't seen Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Man,
and I'm like, we've got to spend the next 3 hours watching that.
Yeah, was it just an amazing time?
It was.
Like, and Gary Oldman as an extremely old woman in the first third.
Yeah. And Winona Ryder, and Keanu, completely unable to do British accents.
Oh, yeah. And for some reason, it's...
Carrie Elwes, fuck, that movie rules.
And fucking Richard Grant as Dr. Seward.
Yeah.
God, it's fucking beautiful, man. It's... Okay, let's talk about a much worse movie.
But Anthony Hopkins had just done that, and then he came here and did this. Was he broke? I don't know. Had he done this earlier, and those two just happened to come out before?
I'm guessing that... I mean, it seems like I don't know a ton about the inside story behind making Bram Stoker's Dracula. It feels like that's the type of movie that would take a while to make it from the set to the camera, but or from the set to the silver screen. But shit, man, I mean, by this point, he had literally won the Oscar for Silence of the Lambs.
Right.
I don't. Yeah,
we need to get into the recap. I think we've said enough.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So the movie begins, and we're intercutting between two things. One, Emilio Estevez, a very cool F1 driver, who is going to be racing at the Long Island Grand Prix, and we intercut that with Mick Jagger in a motorcycle helmet, expressionless, driving a bunch of weird future vehicles through Escape from New York.
So I made 4 notes on this movie as I was watching it, because they're things I didn't want to forget.
Yeah.
Note 1, the opening, I think it was the very opening scene. Remember back in the day, what's the company that made Lost in Translation? You and I commented when we were watching those movies that that particular production company, every trailer featured a woman in her underwears.
Oh, yeah.
What?
Yes. Fuck. Well, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, go ahead.
Lost in Translation was the big one because it's like
Yeah.
Scarlett Johansson's ass right there on
Yeah.
screen in front of you. They did that in this movie.
Yeah,
they like
they did.
slowly scroll up Emilio Estevez's legs and show his tidy whitey clad booty as sexy sax music plays, and it was hilarious to me.
Yeah, it was very much in the mode of Universal Soldier with Jean-Claude.
Yeah. Anyway, I had to make note of it.
Yeah. So we're intercutting and like, oh, this seems like the present being 1991. And then also at the same time, the future. So the first thing I want to make note of is, so Mick Jagger and his apocalyptic caravan are going to a specific location.
That's
and
a good band name.
Yeah, it's not bad. Like maybe kind of a groove thrash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm thinking definitely there's some long guitar solos.
Yeah. So they're heading to a specific location, which the fun thing that I noticed at first was that, okay, so apparently the deal is they need to set up at the exact location to suck Emilio Estevez out of his car accident.
Mm-hmm.
And he is racing in the Long Island Grand Prix. Where they are going in the post-apocalyptic caravan is the Bronx, which is not on Long Island. Like, it shows it very specifically on a computer map.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait a minute. I'm thinking they didn't think this whole movie through.
I don't think we can get bogged down in this level of details.
One major detail or lack of detail that I do want to get bogged down in is that how can you tell that no one gives a shit about this movie? Like, it doesn't exist in the culture except as vaguely a punchline?
I don't know.
Okay, if you know car people, especially F1 car people, any movie that includes that shit,
oh yeah,
if you look at the trivia section, it will be absolutely chock fucking full of complete nonsense that nobody gives a shit about. Like, not even the people who are racing the cars.
Right.
You know, there'll be like, well, as they're going around this turn, that's actually a blah, blah, blah car, which had blah, blah, blah motor. And they use the sound from the 1992 blah, blah, blah race. And it doesn't go up at the exact same frequency and blah, blah, blah. There is not a single bit of trivia about any of the vehicles in this movie.
Well, there should be some saying that F1 cars aren't capable of flight.
Yes. I was absolutely shocked because I was watching the movie and I was like, oh, he's okay. I don't think that's an actual F1 car. Let's see what kind of car it is, because obviously that trivia is thoroughly available because all of those fucking F1 dorks care so much, and nobody has given the slightest shit about this film. However, I will remark that it does have great cars.
Oh my God. I actually texted you about that.
Yes.
How they really nailed the styling of 2009's automobile.
They super
designs.
did.
So there was one scene in this opening. I can't remember exactly when it comes. So this is my note number 2.
Uh-huh.
There's a scene. Well, I guess we haven't been introduced yet. The Emilio, whose name is Alex Furlong.
Yes.
And his girlfriend, Julie, played by Renee Russo.
Mm-hmm.
They're lovers. They're in love. He's going to go race. At one point, they're walking side by side to the race car.
Mm-hmm.
And she's a full 8 to 10 inches taller
Yes.
than him. And then it cuts to like a close-up of them talking. And they're
He is
on the
clearly
same level.
standing on an apple box. Yes.
It was like jarring. Like, what a bad edit. Like, put something in between there and maybe my mind won't think about it, but goddamn.
No, it's definitely a thing. We're also introduced to David Johansen of the New York Dolls, and also, of course, Scrooged.
Scrooged, yeah. And
who-
there was a yellow checkered cab.
I
in
was
this, but he was not driving it.
so like, when I saw that, I thought, holy shit, is this what I'm remembering? Nope. disappointment. Yeah, so David Johansen is his manager / sponsor, whatever. He's going to do this F1 race. He's going to win. It's great. Then he gets in a huge wreck and dies.
Can I make a quick comment about Rene Russo?
Feel free.
I don't want to sound mean or like judging someone on their looks, but she looks like she's had Instagram face since before that was a thing. She just like naturally has like 2020 face without any actual work being done, I think.
Yeah, I believe it.
You see it? Like she might be patient zero of what everybody's trying to get.
Yeah, I kind of see what you're talking about. Yeah. Huh.
I just noticed it last night. It's like, because you get so used to watching movies that are set in the past and people have these faces with fillers and stuff that didn't exist in the past. I'm like, wait a minute, this movie is in the past and she looks like that.
God damn it. I am actually just looking at her IMDb for the first time, and she has been in surprisingly few movies,
Really?
nearly all of which I have seen. Her whole filmography over fucking 40 years almost? 30?
Yeah, she's been in some big ones.
Yeah, is 29 movies.
I forgot she was in Nightcrawler. She was awesome in Nightcrawler.
Yeah, she really was. She was a fucking nightmare. Yeah.
Yeah.
And she also, like, I think Rene Russo is one of a handful of actresses that she has never looked in her 20s. And conversely, she has never looked like she's in her fucking 60s or whatever she's in now.
I'm serious.
Yeah.
She's like a timeless Instagram person.
Yeah, it's really very
When they showed her as a 20-year-old, I'm like, yeah. And then when they showed her later as a 40-year-old, I'm like, yeah. And now looking at pictures of her in her 60s, I'm like, same person.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
Changed.
Yeah. Yep. Pretty much. It's pretty impressive. She really lucked out and hit the fucking genetic lottery somehow.
Yeah. Also, I don't know when it's got to be said, but it's got to be this is probably not the time. I just have to say it. Mick Jagger sucks much fucking ass as an actor.
He is very super not good in this. Like super bad.
Like if they had cast any random motherfucker off the street in his role, this movie would be 10 times better.
Yeah, it's truly impressive as how fucking bad he is.
Not in like a fun, there's a musician being an actor and he's having a good time.
Yeah.
It's just in a really fucking bad way. It's not fun to watch. I don't know.
No, it's
not Tom Waits eating bugs.
No, it is certainly not.
How can someone be so magnetic on a stage with music playing and so repulsive on a movie screen?
It is entirely unclear. You would think, having seen, like even guys who are bad at it, like imagine, if you will, Billy Idol in The Wedding Singer.
Yeah. Oh, imagine David Johansen in Scrooged.
Exactly. Yeah.
Or in Freejack. He was pretty fucking fun.
He was my favorite part of the movie. Maybe. I mean, like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Probably.
Yeah.
Jonathan Banks was good too, but he wasn't really much of a character that was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just
it's true. Like. You spend these early scenes, Mick Jagger is doing almost nothing, and you think like, oh, this is intentional, like he's going to do something, but he doesn't. Like he spends these opening scenes where he's like, go forward, okay, raise the canopy, we've got him.
We've got $1 million of meat on that table.
Yeah, He's
supposed
also
to be like an imposing, like bounty hunter type, and he's not at all in any way whatsoever.
He's really not.
He's also not like spoiler alert. At the end, he's like kind of. I guess we're supposed to like him for some fucking reason. He's not likable in any way whatsoever. He's not even hateable, other than that you hate having to watch him.
his second in command, Isai Morales, is so much more interesting and better.
Much more interesting.
Yeah, and possibly his lover. I'm not sure about that.
Yeah. I don't know.
It's fucking wild.
Anyway, let's. How much of this do we need to talk about? He sucks Emilio out of his car right before he dies, and then puts him on a slab in his weird truck convoy.
Yeah, and then they revive him. Emilio's wakes up, and they're like, "Holy shit, he's got brain activity," which is apparently unusual. And then there's an ambush of the truck convoy with Emilio's body / person in it. Yeah. And then he escapes and runs away.
Yeah, they're about to lobotomize him.
Yeah, with the lobotomizer. So
which apparently shoots a lot of electricity into your brain.
Pretty good name for the tool.
Yeah,
seems like it'd be good to not damage the brain if you're going to transfer somebody's mind into it. But whatever.
Let's not think too much about the tech.
Mm-hmm. So Emilio escapes.
This truck set, by the way, looks like a movie that Mystery Science Theater 3000 would be making fun of.
It really does. It is very clearly a piece of mining equipment, spray painted silver with some tarps and shit attached to it.
There's a lot of tinfoil being flashed around as it's the cheapest looking garbage you've ever seen.
Yeah, it really is.
Let's keep going.
Okay, so he escapes. He finds a yellow cab. I was initially like, "Oh shit, is it Cabby from Escape from New York?" No, it's not. Oh shit, is it Buster Poindexter from Scrooged?
No, it's not.
It's
fucking guy.
It's that Arab guy.
Caricature.
It's that Arab guy that I've seen in a number of things. Who steals his watch, and then he runs some more. And gets to his old apartment and finds out, oh no, it's the future. The weird thing about this is that his building manager lets him in because he's like, it's Alex Furlong, and his building manager is at the cage front door and is like, Furlong, yeah, and then opens the door and he just charges in and the building manager disappears from history.
Yep. He recognized him.
Yeah. Finds out that the people who are in what was his old apartment aren't Rene Russo and him, and it's been years ago. So, what the fuck? Who knows what's happening? And we get a little bit of an explanation about kind of what's going on. So, Mick Jagger's crew of mercenaries, I guess, are called Bone Jackers.
Yeah, hot.
Which is sexy.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to deny that. And Emilio is a Freejack.
Also sexy.
Apparently...
One day we'll be able to Freejack anywhere we want, sorry.
Yes. Apparently, this happens often enough where somebody is brought from the past to the present to become a body for a very rich man who is dying. Often enough to have a very common name in circulation.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. There's a lot of billionaires, I guess.
Apparently. And Emilio's like, oh my God, what the fuck? And then goes wandering around and disappears for a while. We don't see him move from this to the next thing. So, then we meet Jonathan Banks, and we're like, oh shit, it's Jonathan Banks. Yeah, Mike from Breaking Bad, and also the radar technician from Airplane. And did we see him in something else recently?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Maybe I just did, and
maybe you did, yeah.
I don't remember.
I don't recall. No, you're thinking of Uncle Hank from Breaking Bad that we saw in Lawnmower Man, another bottom
that
five,
was it. Yes,
which might actually be worse than Cyborg.
Yeah, it was so bad.
Written it out of my brain.
Yeah, it was deeply fucking bad. I had forgotten about that.
We need to do some good movies, which we're going to start doing very soon.
Yeah. So yeah, we see Jonathan Banks. This is before he started shaving his head. He is now an executive at the Mac Corp. And he and this other executive are talking to what appears to be a CGI monk in a church. And it turns out that this is the guy who wants Emilio's body for his own. And he's dead and has 36 hours left before he can no longer be resurrected. And then he turns and like pulls his hood back, and it's like, oh shit, that's Emilio.
Yeah.
And you're like, what does this mean? Is it a clone of Emilio and he just wants a new, like a fresh Emilio body?
No, he's just already trying the lookout.
And then you're like, no, it's that Anthony Hopkins was only on set for 3 days.
Yeah.
I'm going to say 2 days and 2 costume changes.
Yeah.
So we're like, oh shit, I guess it's bad corporate stuff.
Well, I'm reading the trivia right now, and apparently Mick Jagger accepted it 3 days before it was scheduled to begin shooting as well. So
yeah,
this movie was not very well planned.
Yeah, it's a whole fucking thing. So then we get a scene with Mick and Jonathan Banks, and Mick works for Banks. He's like a contractor.
Mm-hmm.
Banks is all pissed that this didn't work out, and Mick destroys a Fabergé egg. He's really, again, like he's doing a good job not reading the lines off of a piece of paper in front of him. He clearly knows the lines.
I think he memorized them. I think you're right.
He does not, however, give them any meaning.
No.
Like, it's pretty, it's something.
It's bad acting.
Yeah, it's bad acting. I mean, like, yeah.
Once again, in that same trivia thing, he's like, he accepted the movie because the concept sounded cool, and if he'd had time to actually read the script, he says he probably would have passed. I think if he'd have passed, the movie would have been a lot better. I'm sorry. He really is a large chunk of why this movie sucks so bad. Well, every time I saw his face, I was like, oh, fuck.
And he is like, okay, there are certain actors where, you know, in a movie, they will, like, usually they're supporting actors where they elevate everybody else's fucking game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, you're running a scene with, like, Christopher Walken. Christopher Walken is almost never the star of a film, but he is an all-star fucking supporting character.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're in a scene with him and your game goes up a couple of notches because he is really there. Actually, I just, like, last week watched A Few Good Men, which I hadn't seen since like 1992 or whenever it came out in 93.
We definitely watched it at some point in around the year 2000.
Did we?
Yeah, because that's the first time I saw it.
Okay, I believe it. But one of the things about that movie is that, number one, totally unrelated to the rest of this. You can tell why Tom Cruise is a giant movie star. And number two, every scene, like, and there are only about 3 that Jack Nicholson is in, everybody else's game jumps up like at least 30%. Like, they know that, like, Jack Nicholson is giving off some sort of radiation that improves everybody else's performance.
Sure. And makes everyone horny.
Yeah, and also makes everyone horny and screaming. But Mick Jagger is the exact opposite of that. Like, every time his character, he doesn't even have to be on screen with the other people. Like, just knowing that Mick Jagger is in this world is bringing everyone's game down.
There is one time where I believed his performance / liked it, and I'll point it out when we get to it in the recap. It's the only time I wasn't, like, just angry that he was on screen.
Okay.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
But until then, let's take a quick break, right?
Yeah, let's do that. That's a good idea.
5 hours later.
Okay, so we took a little break there. What for you was nanoseconds, for us was 5 hours?
5 hours? Yeah, 5, I think.
Yeah, we had some circumstances pop up and had to pause recording. So if things feel a little disjointed between the first half and the second half, that's why. However, we kind of remember where we left off, and it's time to free this Jack. all over again.
We gonna jacket good? I don't know, man. We gonna bone jacket.
Let's talk about the Fabergé egg, or not.
Okay. So we have a meeting with, and I think we talked about it a little bit. Mick meets with Jonathan Banks. Mick is contracted by the company, which is not at all confusingly named Mac Corporation. So Mick works for Mac.
Terrible name. For a company.
Can
you imagine if you ran a Shadowrun game and your big evil megacorp was called Mac Corp?
Yeah.
Like, fuck you.
And then just to confuse a little bit more, Jonathan Banks was Mike on Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. So Mick has a meeting with Mike at Mac.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. And Jonathan Banks is like, well, you fucking failed. You're off the job. You suck. And Mick, like, I don't know, is doing the nothing that he does in this movie and is like, here, this is a Fabergé egg you've got. 1916, before the revolution, and breaks it. And I don't know. I think it's supposed to be cool.
I don't know.
I don't know.
He doesn't even break it. He tosses it to Mike, who I guess that's his name now. And Mike breaks it upon catching it and then gets very angry and he screams at him.
Yeah. So anyway, Mick is officially off the job. But wait.
Is he? Because he's obsessed with the job.
Yeah, I guess so.
Anyway.
Yeah. And then we go to Emilio Estevez wandering around, and he ends up in a church, and he's like, what's going to happen to me? And then maybe my second, maybe third favorite character in the movie shows up. Amanda Plummer as an extremely vulgar nun.
Yeah, I think she'd be my third.
Yeah, who has a shotgun and is like, what the fuck's wrong with you, chump? And she's just being fun 90s Amanda Plummer. I mean,
yeah.
It's...
Do you want to guess the joke I wrote down for this? I loved it so much I had to write it down.
I do not have any idea. Go ahead.
I was almost certain you would come up with it too. I just wrote down Nunny Bunny.
That did not cross my mind. Yes, very nice.
Famously in Pulp Fiction, she calls her husband or boyfriend Honey Bunny. Yeah, for the people who don't know.
So, yeah, she's a fun, vulgar nun, and she explains a bit more of the plot. Like, okay, so a rich guy buys a formerly dead guy's body. They transfer his mind in, and Emilio is now the wholly owned property of the rich guy who's dead, but don't worry about that. And she goes on a little run about how they store it in a giant computer called the spiritual surfboard, but there's nothing spiritual about it.
Switchboard, not surfboard.
Did I say surfboard?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, it'd be cooler if it was.
Much cooler.
Yeah.
Yeah, she doesn't really add anything we didn't already know. But she does. She's like the only, maybe besides our main cast, she's like one of the only few randos that's a decent person.
Yeah. So she's like, she basically hates the idea of this whole thing and tries to help Emilio find Rene Russo. But
gives him a gun.
No dice on locating Russo.
Yeah.
She does give him a gun and gets David Johansen's address from him, or from her.
For him.
So, yeah, he's got a place to go. So then we get
as we get into this and we're talking about like the overall plot of the rich harvesting bodies, I feel kind of hamstrung by our format here where we have to recap this movie, because I would like to talk about at some point the concept and the fact that this movie seems like in the beginning that it's trying to make a point about the rich and the wealth gap and stuff, and then
entirely abandons it in the last 3 minutes.
Yeah, and maybe we should wait till then to really dig into it, but it's frustrating because I thought that was going to save it. Honestly, I thought that was like, I mean, it's going to be worth it if they make a good salient point here.
Yeah, it's got like it's got at least some of the ingredients to make an interesting, good film.
Yeah. And socially aware. More than just like a good filmmaking film, but a good piece of art, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
But instead, it's Emilio runs a place, there's a car chase and or gunfight. He runs another place, there's another car chase and or gunfight. And that's how we spend basically the rest of the movie.
Which that can be good. I mean, look, Hard Boiled is one of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
But this ain't that.
You have to bring something to it beyond the outline of car chase and gunfight. You have to, I don't know, throw a bunch of doves at it.
Yeah.
And Chow Yun Fat chewing on toothpicks.
Yeah. And I maybe choreograph the gunfights. And maybe...
What about jazz bar? Could we add a jazz bar?
It kind of is one. But I'd also like make it realistic. Like when he rams somebody with a motorcycle, maybe that's not how motorcycles work.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's later, but come on. He rams a guy with his motorcycle and just stays attached to it somehow magic. It's stupid.
Yeah.
Motorcycles are not rams. Don't try to use one as such.
No, it's a terrible idea. They tip over way too easily for that.
And they send you continuing to go forward as the bike stays at the point you ran.
Yeah, the laws of physics are not withheld while you are on a motorcycle.
Unless you're Emilio Estevez in Freejack.
Yeah.
Anyway, we've got to get through this faster. I'm not going over 90 minutes for this.
He goes over to Park Slope, meets David Johansen. David Johansen's like doing his fun David Johansen fucking I'm a Staten Island scumbag bullshit.
Love it. No notes to David Johansen.
No notes at all. I don't think David Johansen is an amazing actor, but boy, when you give him something he can do, man, he will knock it out of the park. The Cabbie and Scrooge, fucking great.
He did exactly what was required of him. I wish he'd been around a little longer. I wish they'd have saved the double cross till the end, honestly.
Yeah, I think it would have worked a lot better. So he meets up with David Johansen. David Johansen's living like a fucking scumbum, but it turns out he's secretly living like a lower middle class person as opposed to...
Yeah. It's funny because he lives like in this shithole. He's like, no, you gotta hide your wealth around here. And he opens up a secret door to his real house, which is slightly nicer.
Yeah. Like,
it's not rich. He doesn't have big screen TVs on the walls and fluffy couches. It's just more comfortable.
He's got my place, basically.
Yeah, exactly. He's living in your life.
Yeah.
Which is probably pretty good for most of the people in this dystopia.
Yeah. Everybody else. Oh, and we did miss out on, right before this, is the most low energy action scene I have ever seen in my life, where a guy runs up to Emilio Estevez, grabs him by the neck, uses him as a human shield to shoot a punk, and then...
that was weird. That was out of fucking nowhere. I was confused by that scene.
It was deeply strange.
I thought that person was going to help him or be trying to capture him, but no, it was just...
Nope,
I guess they were just trying to show the violence.
Yeah, I think that's it.
We also left out when Emilio first goes back to his apartment, the running up the stairs scene where he's like running up the stairs to his apartment.
Oh, it goes
on
long.
Way too long.
Yeah.
It was almost like a joke where they're like repeating the same shit over and over.
It's really weird. And the thing is, okay, so the guy who directed this, Jeff Murphy, all right? He is not a guy who directed much in the way of films. And seeing this, you understand why.
Directed Under Siege 2.
Yes. Seeing this, you understand why he didn't have a big career as a
not great
movie
at it.
director. On the other hand, he was the second unit director on all the Lord of the Rings films. Which, if you know anything about TV production, and I know Eric knows this by heart.
Oh, yeah. In fact, let me make your point. No, you know what? I've had enough speaking time. I'll give it to you.
Okay. Thanks for giving me the chance. So, the second unit is, and sometimes called the assistant director. Basically, the director is busy enough and has enough shit going on in his life that he doesn't shoot everything on a movie, especially on big movies like
Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring.
Yeah, or the other Lord of the Rings movies. You know, every
or the
time,
Hobbit. Anything Tolkien based.
Yeah. anytime you're seeing anything that isn't like the main actors or a really important bit of, really dialed in, super important bit of action or something like that, probably the assistant director is doing that. And the interesting thing about this movie is not only is Jeff Murphy, like, he's clearly a very talented fucking second unit guy based on the Lord of the Rings films.
Yeah. Pretty widely loved.
But at the same time, you look at the stuff that on this movie would be second unit, and a lot of the times smaller movies don't have an assistant director or a, second AD. So it turns out that in the context of this movie, he can neither direct actors, clearly, based on what we've seen, and like all the stuff that you expect a second unit director to be good at, like, second unit directors do just tons of action scenes. Like, that's kind of the point of them a lot of the time. And stuff that, like the small insert stuff that you would normally like, and this movie, none of it works. It's fucking impressive.
Well, I mean, you as a second director, I'm sure the main director is looking over all that stuff, and he's got a hand in editing it and everything. Yeah. So some people are really good as managers, and some people are really good as, like, showrunners or whatever. Yeah. Some people are really good at being second head guy.
Yeah.
So, and it's probably just his situation.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, the running up the stairs thing was what made me think of that like, this goes on way too long.
There are also a lot of slam zooms onto Mick Jagger's face, which is disconcerting.
It's weird. The way Mick Jagger was shot in this whole movie is very odd.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I assume there's some stories here, but nobody has cared enough about the movie to talk about it. So,
yeah.
So anyway, David Johansen's doing great. He's just doing David Johansen shit. They go to a diner so that David Johansen can call Rene Russo, because she is now a fancy rich person. This is the point at which he says a line about how there's only two kinds of people in the world, like the real rich people and the real poor people. There's nobody in the middle. So, like,
seems like setting up some,
could be,
or some moral of the story.
Yeah, could be. Don't worry about it. We'll forget about that almost immediately. And we also
the moral of the story is you should be one of those rich people.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe you should be a rich people. And there was also a very short scene of Esai Morales and Mick Jagger in an apartment / office.
I think it was inside one of their tanks.
Oh,
I don't know. That was the way my mind.
I don't know. It seemed,
doesn't matter.
It seemed bigger than that, but
it's like the Doctor Who phone booth.
Yeah, sure. So there's maybe like
the Doctor Who people are gonna be so mad that I didn't say TARDIS, but fuck you. I don't care about Doctor Who that much. I do kind of like it.
Okay,
it's like middling for me.
All right,
who's
your favorite Doctor?
The guy, the guy that shit. What's his name? The one that was before the one that's like the famous one.
The one that was before the one that's like the famous one. Christopher Eccleston.
That's the one. I liked him.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, he's my favorite Doctor, too.
That's also my favorite assistant, or whatever the girl is that hangs out with
Rose. Yeah.
Yeah, I liked Rose.
Yeah, she was...
Basically, that's the only season
she was a chav piece of shit. So she was pretty great. Yeah.
This isn't a Doctor Who podcast, and never will be.
No.
Although they're pretty...
Honestly, yeah, we could definitely get into some cyberpunk shit in there.
We should probably look into that, yeah.
All right. Okay, so I don't know. Maybe Mick and Esai Morales are lovers or something. I don't know. It seems like vaguely implied. It's not important.
I don't know.
But Mick, even though he's been fired by Mike from Mac,
stop it.
He puts out a like APB basically on Emilio. So anytime Emilio passes a video camera, his face will be identified, or voice or anything like that.
And so that never comes up.
Yeah. Yeah. Except it kind
never
of does.
happens.
It kind of does, except it's also useless and idiotic.
Yeah.
At the end of the big car chase, where he blows through a toll booth.
Is there like a big chunk of this middle we can just skip?
Yeah, there really is. So it turns out that David Johansen's selling him out because there's a huge reward for him because he's a Freejack.
Once again, crazy that this happens enough that there's just a term and this happens regularly.
Yeah. So the cops show up. There's a big gunfight. David Johansen dies. Emilio Estevez escapes. There's a motorcycle chase. And Emilio gets into Manhattan, I guess.
There is my favorite. I think it was this scene. God, it might be a later scene. I can't remember, but I wrote down a quote and I didn't write down when it was.
Okay.
I think it's the guy in the diner that's like hassling Emilio.
Yeah, toothless guy.
Yeah, but there's a line where he says, "You keep looking at me, you'll see me kill you."
Yeah.
I thought that was actually pretty good writing.
It's
I like
not
that
bad.
line.
Yeah. Yeah, that wasn't a bad line. And that guy did pretty okay.
Yeah, I like that guy. That guy did some work.
Oh, there's also a little bit of explanation that Johansson gives about how when they're walking to the diner, Emilio says something like, "Why do they want me?" And David Johansen's like, "Past bodies are all the rage. Like half these people have lived their entire lives without an ozone, and they're on drugs that didn't even exist in the 20th century, and there are viruses and stuff like that. So old flesh is best." Which is like the actual explanation, but it's just kind of this tossed off thing. And then he does a really funny little bit about making Emilio limp. Yeah, like that. Yeah. Look like you're poison. Nobody's going to want to touch you. So yeah, he runs away after this interminable car chase action scene. And then it's during this that he speeds through a toll booth, and we cut to Mick and Morales in their apartment or tank or whatever. And there's like a predator vision scan of him ripping through a toll booth, and it shows no viruses detected. So
they know it's him.
Yeah, I guess. Anyway, he heads to Julie's in Battery Park. Now we get to the high life.
Yeah, we've been
of the film.
Been at the low life.
Yeah. So
because God forbid they put a attractive woman in dirty outfit.
Mm-hmm. So we cut to Julie in the present/future. She's like a high-powered executive, and she's negotiating with Japanese people in Japanese. So you can tell she's very good.
And who's her boss? None other than
Mike from Mac. Also Mac from Mac.
Yes, Mike and Mac from Mac.
Yes. So she's working with Jonathan Banks for I don't remember his first name, something McAllen, but it's Anthony Hopkins. Hey, it's 32 minutes into the film, and we've met Anthony Hopkins finally. He's on a video.
Bit of trivia on IMDb is, I believe it's Anthony Hopkins was later quoted to say this was a bad film.
He is correct.
Nailed it.
Yeah, got it in one. Yeah, he's on a video call from Sydney. It's clearly a fake Sydney because that's not how the Opera House is aligned in relation to that bridge that's behind.
All right, Mr. Geography.
Yeah. Anyway, she talks to Anthony Hopkins. He says she needs to go to Tokyo to finish up this deal.
Of all the problems in this movie, the Sydney Opera House's alignment ranks so far back on the list. I can't even see it anymore.
Yeah, well, it's just one of those things that like it appears in enough movies and on like desktop backgrounds.
Yeah,
like
desktop backgrounds.
Yeah, it's not.
Whenever I break into somebody's house, it's there.
Uh-huh.
McCandless, by the way.
McCandless, that's right. Yeah. So yeah, he calls her and he's like, "Yeah, you did a great job. Now you need to go to Tokyo to finish that up." And she's like, "Okay, great, I'll do that." And then she goes to her place in Battery Park, this is where we get the first real look at the cool future cars that look like, I don't know, aerodynamic bugs.
Yeah, they look like Dr. Seuss is all that comes to mind when I see them. They're weird.
Yeah, they're very fun.
I think it's specifically the limos, because they still have shitty 90s cars rolling around.
There are a couple, not many.
Yeah.
Most of the vehicles we see are either modded VW Beetles and APCs like Aphex Twin drives. What's his name? Richard? Yeah, whatever.
The Aphex Twin guy? I don't know.
Yeah, he very, very famously back in the mid-90s, after he got a little bit of money, found out that you could buy one of these APCs like the one Mick drives around, surplus from the British government, and bought it and just used it as his personal vehicle in the village he lived in for years.
Hard to that.
Yeah, I mean, like, hey, cool.
Mileage probably isn't that great.
Yeah, probably not. Anyway, so she goes into her apartment, and then Emilio shows up and is like, "I'm your boyfriend from 20 years ago. Let me throw you down on this couch." And she's like, "Holy fuck, what is this?"
You're a liar. You're a rich person inside my old boyfriend's body.
Yeah. Again, like, this is apparently common enough that this is a known thing.
Yeah.
So it doesn't go great. She kind of just chases him the fuck out and fires up the security system. And at the same time, Mick Jagger and all his mercenary buddies show up, and they start exploding shit and chasing him. Emilio steals a 1989 Chevy S10 from a Bollinger Champagne delivery man.
That delivery man looked so familiar. I could not find him credited. It looked like a comedian from modern times that might have gone uncredited.
Yeah. Anyway, he steals this S10, which has a giant shack built onto the back of it just to hold champagne.
Sure. I don't know why you're acting like that's weird. I see 10 of those a day.
Then there is a way too long car chase involving fiberglass covered VW Beetles and Jeeps and APCs and Mick Jagger.
It's boring.
Mick Jagger yelling at him over a laptop.
Yeah, they're like having a conversation.
Keeps popping open on its own. It's very weird.
During this chase scene, I went and made some popcorn. Mm-hmm. I was in the room for some of it.
That seems like a great way to to do it.
I was definitely not going to pause it.
No. So it ends, and they, like, I don't know, I guess at this point we're developing a relationship between Emilio and Mick. Like,
that was the intention. It failed.
Yeah, it really did. Anyway, the chase ends with Emilio driving halfway across the Brooklyn Bridge and jumping out of the truck at speed into the water.
Thing people have done and survived.
Yes, it's definitely not a thing that kills you. So
you know this by all of the frequent recreational Brooklyn Bridge jumpers.
Yes.
Mick's one of his like very few good lines in this is when Emilio jumps into the water.
If you drink any of that,
if you swallow any of that, I'm out of a job.
Yeah. Yeah, a vaguely funny line.
Yeah.
So he's jumped off the bridge and obviously died. So the movie's over. But instead,
check us out on Patreon.
We cut to Rene Russo considering newspaper clippings and photos of the past in slow motion.
Yeah, she's putting it together.
Yeah, she's like, well, maybe that guy who looked exactly like my boyfriend from 20 years ago and said he was my boyfriend from 20 years ago and acted freaked out like he was a guy who had just been transported 20 years into the future. Maybe he was my boyfriend from 20 years ago.
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. So Emilio washes up out of the river next to Frankie Faison, who's a great actor.
Who's criminally under, or I don't know. Shouldn't be here.
Yeah, should not be here. I enjoy literally everything he is doing in this movie. I do not even begin to understand why it is a scene in this movie.
Yeah, he's great. Don't understand the purpose of his character.
Nope, doesn't. He
could
talks
easily
about,
knock off 5 minutes of the runtime.
Yeah, he's got a nice little thing about how the secret to eating river rat is the sauce.
Spent a lot of time talking about eating rats.
Yeah.
I guess they're just once again still trying to establish how shitty the world is, but like we're like 40 minutes in now, guys. We know.
Yeah. So, and Emilio gets a new lease on life because Frankie Faison tells him a story about, I don't know, an eagle.
Made no sense.
It is confusing.
No sense whatsoever.
And we do find out that at the end of it, Frankie Faison very quietly, as Emilio walks away, says Emilio's character's name. Alex? Yeah.
Yeah.
So he apparently knew who he was the whole time, and this means what? I don't know.
I don't know. Like, how could he know, and why would he know?
Yeah, who can say? So we go back to Rene Russo, and this is when we meet Boone for the first time.
Now we're talking.
Okay, Boone is a classic, sort of classic fucking street samurai. He's got a fucking machine pistol. He's got a katana. He's got Jerry curl.
Boone elevates this movie above so many of the bad movies we've watched. Every Boone scene I was all fucking in for. I love this man. I wish he was in every movie.
Yeah, he was he was great. And I mean, in part that's just because the rest of the movie is so bad.
The actor who plays him, I don't have it up anymore.
Grand Bush.
Bush. Yeah. He played Balrog in the Street Fighter movie.
Oh.
He is not a very good actor. He unlike Mick Jagger, I don't think he had his lines memorized. I think he was reading them.
I would be inclined to agree. However,
but he's got something Mick Jagger doesn't, and that's like a presence, an ability, a watchability, a charisma.
Yeah.
It's weird to say that Mick Jagger doesn't have charisma. Clearly he does, but not when he's got a camera in front of his face.
Yeah, it's very odd. And also we will be seeing him again. We need to remember that. He will appear in Demolition Man.
Oh, sick. I look forward to his return. He carries the katana the whole movie, and you're like, he's got to use his fucking katana. And then finally he does, and it's like, oh, he drew the fucking katana. It's on, baby.
And then it's over.
It is, but the brightest lights shine the shortest or something.
Yeah, something like that. Better to burn out than to fade away. I don't know. Neil Young. So he is Rene Russo's driver and bodyguard. And Russo has come to a decision like, yeah, I think he was my boyfriend. We're going to go to places where he would like hang out if he was sad.
Yeah.
So apparently one of these places is up on some Skid Row bullshit. Like there's, I don't know, a baby giving tattoos and a lonesome sax player.
Oh yeah, the sax player.
And you're like, what the fuck is this? And it's just clearly the future is a bummer. And Boone's wandering around with a fucking Tech 9. Shout out to Tech 9, Kansas City.
And a katana, shut up,
samurai
katana,
sword.
Mortal Kombat.
And a samurai sword, yeah. So at this point, they meet up with Emilio because apparently
he doesn't have a strap for that sword, by the way. It's just always in his left hand.
Yeah, he just carries it in his left hand. So Emilio's there. They're now going to team up. And apparently there's a $10 million reward for Emilio, which we see on a cool video billboard. Remember when that was like the future? And now I see them a lot, and they're very annoying because they're so goddamn bright.
You know what's worst about them? And we don't need any tangents, but when I'm driving down the highway, I will see a video billboard in the distance, and it'll be advertising a concert or something, and I'm like, oh look, I might want to see that. When's the dates? And then I'll get closer, and right as I can start to see the dates, it'll switch to something I don't give a shit about. This happens so frequently. Why do they have these things?
And there is absolutely no way to go back and see it again.
Yeah, and you can't reverse down the interstate.
Yeah.
It's the dumbest fucking thing. Anyway.
So, Rene Russo has an idea. She knows a people smuggler, a coyote.
Yeah.
And they're going to go to a cool future club called Industrial Revolution and meet this guy.
Every cyberpunk movie from the 90s has to have a cool club scene.
And this one is not great, but it's not bad. I mean, it's got tits and body paint and ministry.
Yeah. Sure.
I mean, it's not bad. It's nowhere near the high points of the genre.
Emilio immediately gets blasted.
Yeah, he gets future drunk, probably on the type of things that they serve at Skull Pants. I fucking love this bar and grill.
Yeah,
like some sort of LSD soaked snail in it. I don't know.
Yeah, this scene was pretty funny, actually.
Yeah, he's drinking what appears to be the comb fluid from a barber shop.
Yeah. What I liked was, while he's here drunk and like waving back and forth, for some reason there's a news reporter in here. Yeah. And she comes up and begins talking to them, and then it cuts to Rene Russo talking to the coyote, and she's talking about how he's solid,
he's smart, he's solid, he can okay,
he knows he can handle himself. And then it cuts to him on the news explaining exactly who he is, where he is, giving away everything because he's drunk. And that was pretty funny, actually.
Yeah, it was. Also, did you notice who the news reporter was, or know who the news reporter was?
It's Jerry Hall. Am I supposed to know who she is?
That is Mick Jagger's ex-wife.
Now ex-wife. Yeah. That's right. I did know. That's what the name is familiar from.
Yeah. It's pretty funny.
He was better than him. They should have given her his role.
Yeah. Actually, that would have been interesting. And this is the scene where Emilio does a fucking Arnold impression for some reason. He calls out Mick Jagger like the character, and says, let's see, where is it? I'm looking. Okay. Oh, here. Alex Furlong, inebriated during television interview. I know someone who's trying to bring me in, goes by the name Vanchedick. Grabs interviewer's microphone. Well, I got a special message for you. And then in brackets, imitating Arnold Schwarzenegger from Terminator. Fuck you, asshole. Laughs. No one's bringing me in. Knocks camera aside.
That's not even like a famous line from that movie.
No, it's super not.
Well, everybody had Terminator fever in 1991. You got to cut them some slack.
Yeah, I guess
it was all we could think about back then.
It really was. I mean, You Could Be Mine.
We got to cover one of those movies someday.
We really should. Hey, what do you think about in a couple of weeks?
Ask me again at the end of the episode, and I'll tell you what I think about it.
All right, sounds good. So then somebody throws a grenade, and suddenly they're out of the club.
Fine.
That's how it works.
As good a reason as any.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, it's as good a... Yeah, you can't... What do you want? Another fucking 10-minute fucking chase scene? Ugh.
Yeah.
So...
There'll be more of those two, by the way.
Yeah, we bail out of there. We go to Morgan's, Rene Russo's ex's place. And at this point, Morgan says to Rene Russo that Emilio is too hot. And tells her to call Anthony Hopkins. She does so. He acts weirdly villainy. I don't know why. But she's like, I need you to help him. I need you to help Emilio Estevez. And he's like, well, I mean, I mean, my corporation obviously owns all of the, obviously owns all of the souls and the bodies. And we do this whole thing, but I can't have any control over this. And what do you mean? Where are you?
Realize,
are you with him? Are you with him? Should I send mercenaries should I send chocolates?
Yeah. So at this point, you realize, okay, he's the one that's inhabiting the body. All right.
Yeah, it's fun. He's on a different background on his video call. And then we get the very beginnings of a fuck scene. It's implied that
Morgan steps out for some reason.
Yeah.
And so they can fuck.
Yeah, that's it. And that happens. So then we go to Jonathan Banks' office for exactly no reason, except to provide a cutaway from the fucking.
Yeah.
And Amanda Plummer is in Jonathan Banks' office. How did she get there? How did they find her? We don't know. But he's yelling at her. And, has she seen Emilio since she gave him directions and whatever? And she's like, no, fuck you. And kicks him in the nuts. and it's an extremely extended sequence of Jonathan Banks' eyes rolling back in his head.
Yeah, way
and
too
clutching
long.
his balls. Like, it's
slapsticky weirdness.
It's funny. It has no place in this film. Like,
yeah,
like
just adds time.
She doesn't come back or anything.
She didn't have any more information to give him.
Yeah. There's nothing to it. So anyway, Emilio is gonna escape. Amanda or Rene Russo and Boone are gonna take him to a boat that McAllen, whatever.
I've already forgotten.
The Mac from Mac has arranged to smuggle him out of the country. They go to these docks.
Rob McElhenney. That's
Rob McElhenney. Yes. They go to these docks, and then surprise, the boat is and explode.
It immediately blows up, like
Yeah.
like that scene in Miami Vice.
Yeah, pretty much.
Every scene in Miami Vice. I think every episode has that scene.
Pretty much, yeah. And there's a firefight. It's another one of these things.
But it's a Boone firefight, so I was keyed in on this one.
You were locked in?
Yeah.
Regardless, it's just another fucking firefight, except this one's slightly more complicated because there's Mick Jagger's guys who are all wearing fucking Spaceballs helmets.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some grungy guys.
Oh, right.
There's some like grungy guys who are not Mick Jagger's guys.
They're just
and
like bounty hunters.
Are shooting at Mick Jagger's guys.
Yeah.
And then there's Emilio and Boone. And it all, I don't know, there's a lot of shooting.
Boone gets shot, and I actually shouted out, "No, Boone!" when it happened.
Boone explains to Emilio that he is a folk hero now. Like, my grandmother knows who you are because you're surviving, and I don't know, you're not one of these rich fucks. I don't know, whatever.
Keep making my grandma smile.
Yeah, and he fucking katanas the guy who shot him.
Yeah, it's very slow
extreme
motion
close
stab.
up. It's very weird.
Almost like a Saving Private Ryan
blade
insert shot.
Yeah, it's very weird. So anyway, there's a bunch of running around and fighting in a dark warehouse. Emilio saves Mick Jagger from the other bad guys.
Once again, I guess we're
guys
supposed to believe they like each other for some reason.
Yeah, I guess so. But he saves him, and Mick Jagger tells him that, like, yeah, Anthony Hopkins is the one that set this whole fucking thing up. I mean, he's the one who wants your body and all that shit. And it's at this point that I wrote in my notes, all caps, there is still 30 minutes of movie left.
I can hear you screaming that at the TV.
Yeah. And I mean, that means we're at the hour and 20 mark, and it already feels like this movie is fucking 2 hours long. We watched way longer shit for this.
Yeah.
I mean, but nowhere near anything that felt as long as this.
I don't feel like anything that happened between now and them getting to the top floor of the building matters. Like, they go and they talk to Mike. Mm-hmm. We're using the wrong names, but Breaking Bad Mike. Yeah. And he's basically... He kind of seems like he got what he wanted. He wants this boss to die. It was a double cross, and he was going to let him go.
Yeah, it's a hilarious fucking bit. He's like, my boss, my boss wanted me to get your body for him when he died, and I'd rather take over the company and not let this guy be immortal and my boss.
Yeah.
Like, okay, good deal. We also see some real slow-mo footage of Emilio's car wreck at this point. And
it's so bad.
You can clearly see the helmet that Emilio arrived in the future with on his head go flying off of the exploding automobile.
Oops.
Yeah.
Real quick, we also should have pointed out when he ran away from Mick Jagger says, "Let it not be said that I don't value
my own life.
So I will give you a 5-minute head start."
Yeah.
And once again, I think if this was delivered by anybody, they could give the indication that these two people had respect for each other, and that's why they were like helping each other out, and they were like doing this cat and mouse thing, and it might actually be a fun character relationship. These two are not pulling that off. You're just like, why are you letting this fucking guy go?
Yeah, the thing that I kept coming back to, which I was hesitant to bring up was, I think Mick Jagger is trying to do David Bowie, like in, well, David Bowie is a good actor. I guess I should be an actor too. And
he
he
that's
has
possible.
exactly 0% of the ability of David Bowie at being an actor. Like,
we're shitting a lot on Mick Jagger here, but like I told Josh, like before this movie, I did prefer the Rolling Stones to the Beatles. I no longer do. But
I this morning I kicked my Get Your Yayas Out box set down a flight of stairs.
We were fans.
Yeah,
It's weird.
it's deeply strange.
Anyway, so Mike says, "All right, you two crazy kids, get out of here. I don't need you anymore."
We also see one of the worst dummies in any movie ever.
Talking about Mick again?
No, Anthony Hopkins' body.
Oh.
He's in a clear plastic
that was
coffin,
bad.
and it does not look like a human, let alone Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah.
So yeah. Oh, and then it turns out that Jonathan, because Rene Russo's rude to him, I guess, and slaps him.
I guess.
I
think he was going to do it the whole time.
Yeah, probably. So he's going to have him killed. They take an elevator down. Security guards go bang, bang, bang.
This is actually another scene that I think with a more competent director could have been good. Like going down the elevator as they're slowly coming to the realization it's a trap, and then they're kind of getting set up to see what happens. This could have been really good and tense in a real movie.
Yeah, it could have. It was not, though.
No, I think the director, like we said, I think he's got instincts of what is good. He just can't execute it on his own. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So at this point, you're like, wow, I guess the movie's over. They're in the elevator. The elevator's reaching the lobby, and it's surrounded by security guards.
There's no way
that's going to execute them. And oh no, it turns out that the movie is not over.
No.
The security guards are ambushed by Mick Jagger and his crew. Just the elevator arrives. Then suddenly the elevator goes up to the 200th floor. Because Anthony Hopkins' brain controls all the computers, I guess.
He's in the building. He is the building.
Yeah.
He's a rigger.
I guess so. So then we go through a bunch of VR looking shit. Once they get to the top floor, it's like they're trying to do a computer generated version of the end of 2001. Where like
this struck me as like shit. Everybody in this time had to throw some bad polygon CGI into their sci-fi movies. I kind of gave it a pass. I'm like,
yeah, right, I mean, it's just kind of like, whatever.
Yeah.
And then we have the final showdown with Emilio, Anthony Hopkins, and Rene Russo. They're all in this green screen thing with a bunch of time lapse of like Monument Valley behind them.
Yeah.
And Anthony Hopkins explains the whole plot. He wanted Emilio's hot body because he knew that Rene Russo was in love with Emilio's hot body. And he's been in love with Rene Russo from like minute one. So if he was going to die, then maybe he would take Emilio's body and she'd be in love with him. But now he has realized that's wrong. So
the error of his ways.
Yeah. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to transfer the whole corporation over to you. And all you have to do is delete me. Just type some stuff into this terminal. And it'll be great. And then, oh no, that was also a lie and a trap. And at this point, I paused it to go smoke a cigarette, and there's 15 minutes of the movie left. It's so tiring. Then Mick Jagger shows up out of the elevator, and there's now a magic crystal that pops out of this console.
Yeah.
And lightning's going all over the place. So we're transferring consciousness between Emilio Estevez.
The only way it could have looked cheesier is if two helmets had actually come down out of the ceiling.
Yeah.
And they had to both put a helmet on.
So then Jonathan Banks shows up after like 25 seconds of lightning and like this consciousness transfer bullshit, whatever. Jonathan Banks opens up the door
Most importantly, he interrupts it like right at the end. It doesn't quite finish.
And then with him as a distraction, Rene Russo grabs a gun and shoots the magic crystal.
Yeah.
That's doing it. So that, like, then there's an explosion and Emilio falls on the floor and we're like, oh shit, did Anthony Hopkins get in his brain? And then Emilio does not even try to do an Anthony Hopkins impression.
Nope.
And which, I mean, I feel like he should have tried a little bit.
I don't know. Maybe he did, and it was so bad the director was just like, nah, never mind. Just be yourself.
I mean, that would have been something. I don't know. But he gets, like, he's supposed to read off his his social security number or something, and apparently does it. So Jonathan Banks gets shot repeatedly.
Okay, you're skipping over. Of all the long shit in the movie that went on too long, the reading of the ID number.
Oh my God, yes.
So, like, only he would know the ID number. Please read it to me. So
remember when I said there's 15 minutes left? This is 10 minutes of that 15.
5.
6.
Correct. Next number.
9.
And I will also say I teased it earlier in the episode. The only part where I believed Mick Jagger and that I liked his acting because all he had to do was stand there and look confused and point a gun was when he's like trying to figure out which one is the real one, or if who he should he shoot Emilio or should he shoot Mike from Breaking Bad. I believed him there because he looked confused like he did most of the movie.
Yeah.
But anyway, yes, he says the quote correct number. Unquote.
Yeah. So then Mick Jagger shoots Mike from Breaking Bad, and Emilio is now Anthony Hopkins, and he runs the company, and Rene Russo is his woman.
Can I tell you what I thought the ending was going to be at this point?
Oh, great.
Which would have been better.
Please.
I thought that it was going to be like, the thing was interrupted halfway through and that both consciousnesses are in Emilio's brain and he's going to have to like come to terms with wanting to, save humanity, but also having this evil thing in his brain. I thought that would have been a cool way to end the movie.
That would have been interesting. Yeah. Obviously they did not go that direction.
No, they did not.
No. So he's like, okay, well, I guess since I am Mr. Fancy Man, I'm going to make Rene Russo wear a fancy dress, and I will drive our car around, and it's an old Rolls Royce. So he and Rene Russo drive off in this old Rolls Royce. And then Mick Jagger stops them because he knows the Anthony Hopkins character can't drive. Fuck!
You gave it away, Emilio Estevez, you stupid fuck.
Yeah. But then how did he know the ID number? And Mick Jagger's like, he didn't, I lied. Ha ha ha, hilarious.
I knew it was
and
you the whole
movie's
time.
Over.
I just wanted to let you go because for some reason we're friends. I don't know.
We're best buddies, I guess. Anyway, that's the end of the movie. It's bad and so slow.
Yeah.
And
they never, ever address the concept of wealth inequality.
Nope.
They just end it saying, it's pretty cool to be one of the rich ones, isn't it?
Yeah.
Let's dive off into our rich future where we're not going to fix shit because it doesn't benefit us.
Yeah, it's great. This is a movie that I watched and it was not good. Didn't like it. Not happy with it.
Asterisk, footnote, except for Boone, who ruled.
Yes. And Frankie Faison, who should have been cut out of the movie, but still rules.
Yeah. And, what's his name? David
Johansen. Yeah.
Who, did exactly what we wanted from him.
Yeah, he's wonderful.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think the movie was
good.
So bad it's
watchable?
Good level.
No.
I think it could have been. There's a few changes and some definite shortening could have made this an entertaining, if flawed, movie. I just don't think the director knew what he was doing.
It's not. I mean, it's not even the kind of it's not even the kind of bad where you're like, what the fuck was this? Like, you watch Cyber Vengeance, and you understand that obviously these people were deranged and have no business possessing a camera.
Yeah.
But there's something going on, at least.
Yeah.
And this one, you're just like, okay, yeah, sure.
This one's
Things
got
are happening.
too much done technically correct to give him a pass on that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's
got Mick Jagger, who, like I said, worst casting of the movie, but one of the biggest rock stars of all time, should at least make you want to see his face and not roll your eyes every time he pops up on screen.
Yeah, and there aren't interesting enough choices. Like, one of the things that makes some of the almost inarguably terrible though fun B movies that we watch for this, like Nemesis, Split Second, whatever.
Yeah,
like, you watch them and you go, oh, well, okay, I would not have expected that, because that is not something a sane person does when they are handed a movie camera.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm thinking of many of the explosions in Nemesis and just like the weird shit. Yeah.
Like, oh, that doesn't make any sense. No one would do that. Well, that's what we did. And you're kind of like, okay, well, I guess I'm on the ride.
We respect your decisions.
Yeah. And this one, there isn't enough of that. It's just like, I guess we're going to do another car chase, huh? Okay.
Yeah. And the car chases are boring and not very well choreographed. And it makes sense.
All those red spray painted fiberglass beetles are flipping over. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Sorry, Emilio. But of course, everybody involved with the movie, I think, knew exactly what it was.
I guess so. Yeah. I don't know, man. Yeah, this is a movie.
Let's rate it.
It had, like, at its core, it had something that could have been there. Like,
absolutely. A good concept, if nothing else. I'd like to see it.
Failed so radically at it. Like,
I was thinking as I was watching this, like, something, you know how popular remakes are. It would be cool to see somebody remake a bad movie and make it a good one. Like, I feel like that would be. I think Freejack could be remade into a good movie by a competent director. It would be kind of fun as like a, I don't know, like a show off.
I mean, I have argued many times we should not be remaking and rebooting good movies.
Right.
We should be doing the bad ones with, like, missed potential. And this would be a great one for that.
Yeah.
Like, there's definitely potential there, but they did not achieve any of that potential. Oh. Like, yeah, let's rate this fucking thing and get out of here.
All right. Story. High point of the rating system, I would think. I like the concept. I don't think it was executed well, but as the concept of taking people from the past, I'm going to be generous and give it a 6.5.
This is an interesting question because, like, yeah, the bones of the story, okay, pull people out of the past to provide new bodies for the rich in the present. Like, that's interesting. But the actual story that we saw on screen is much less interesting than that. And so much of it was not that. It was just Emilio Estevez driving a car and cars flipping over behind him.
Yeah.
Like, so, like, we can't. Okay, this movie had, say, 45 minutes of decent plot and story to it, but it's an hour and 50 minutes long. So I have to dock it for that extra hour and 5, where it was not addressing the story or, like, even keeping me entertained.
I get that. I am giving it a little bit of leeway on its potential and just the general concept that I found intriguing. Even like just reading it on before I watched the movie, reading it on the little description on Amazon, I was like, so maybe I'm giving it more than it deserves, but you're welcome to rate it as low as you like.
I think I am doing 4.5.
Okay. I don't think I'm not going to argue with that one iota.
There's just so much nothing in this movie. It's fucking depressing.
Influence. I think we can say pretty surely there is zero influence.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I don't know. I guess
about it. It's like a non-movie.
Yeah. Yeah, car people don't give a shit about it. So, yeah.
They covered it on How Did This Get Made?
Yeah.
So,
speaking of which, that reminds me, last week, they re-released their Johnny Mnemonic episode for free on the feeds.
Have you listened?
I have. And it has one of my favorite people, Jess. Fuck, what is her last name? Jessica St. Clair.
Body Ventura. Oh, okay.
Jessica St.
Your
Clair
other favorite
is
person.
the guest. Although we on High Tech Low Life obviously disagree with many of their conclusions, I do recommend listening to the podcast.
I'm not going to. I think I'd get mad.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm in too deep with Johnny Mnemonic at this point.
They end up like there's a lot of criticism, but they end up in the end giving it a lot more credit than it sounds like they're going to. So, okay, what were we talking about?
We're talking about prescience. How well did it predict the future?
Well, I know my car is shaped like Dr. Seuss butt fucked a large beetle.
I mean, the future they predicted is now 15 years in the past. So
yeah,
but I can see it coming to pass in our future if things aren't, long depression, disease, and pollution. So I'll give it a 3.
Ever eaten river rat?
If I had to, I would get Frankie Faison to make it for me.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like
because you don't just throw a warm rat on a plate.
Yeah.
He had to figure it out and talked about it for about 6 minutes.
Yeah. God, I don't know. Like, it should have been so plainly obvious when you were looking at the script for the film that this is deeply pointless.
Also,
why?
The way he's hunched over that plate eating that rat, clearly one of the best actors in this movie.
Yeah, he's a fucking great actor. I mean, Frankie Faison has been in tons of shit. If the audience is unfamiliar with his name, he was on The Wire.
You'd recognize his face.
You absolutely would. Yeah, he was on The Wire. He's in Silence of the Lambs and Hannibal, Coming to America. He's on tons and tons of shit, and he is a dude who has been working very consistently for 45 fucking years for good reason. Yeah. Like, he is just a super good character actor. Oh, he was on fucking Oz, obviously. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, wasted. What's your prescience rating? I gave it a 3.
3. I mean, I don't know.
We're being very generous.
Yeah.
Style. Does it get any style points? Those cars were something.
I'll give it a 1 for the cars. Just because.
I'll give it a 0.5 because I'm docking it for Mick Jagger's helmet.
Oh, yeah, that's tough.
Hand raisers, 1 to 5.
Okay, I'm going to give it an extra hand raiser over what we have kind of already discussed.
So you're giving it 6. Interesting.
Yes. Kind of based on what everything we've already rated it as kind of adds up to, it would be a 0.5.
Yeah.
But I am going to give it a 1.5 simply because I did enjoy David Johansen, and I did enjoy, even if Boone himself wasn't great, the idea of Boone.
Yeah.
So
I think he was great all around.
Yeah.
I agree. I was going to give it a 1, but Boone brings it to a 1.5, and David Johansen, and there's one other. I don't know. Brene Russo.
Also, Isai Morales is doing his best with a fucking bullshit part. He's got cool scars and
a missing eye.
One of my favorite things in movies is that you just don't see in real life anymore is somebody who is blind in one eye who isn't wearing an eye patch. They just have a blacked out lens of glasses.
Yeah. That feels very dystopian and.
Yeah. So 1.5 hand raisers.
I feel that's fair and maybe a little generous, but there were parts in this movie that I was like, God, it makes you sad because it's the wasted potential.
Something that I did not bring up earlier that is one of the weirder bits of the movie
Bring it up quickly.
The fact that in every fucking action scene, there are repeated instances of James Brown screaming from I Feel Good.
Wow, I feel good. Yeah, that's in the trivia too.
It's very weird. It took me
strange.
it took me like 3 scenes before I was like, what is that fucking noise? And like backtracked. And I was like, that's James Brown. Why is that?
Because
and
they could.
I guess they could.
All right. Freejack. Thanks for recommending that for us. We did it.
Yeah. Thanks for recommending that, and go to hell.
No, he's a patron. We love recommendos, even bad ones. We got to watch some bad movies once in a while. But speaking of that, I wanted to point out, going forward for the rest of this year, we're not watching any bad movies. I've made the decision. This is going to be I'm going to call it NBB 2024. Nothing but bangers for the rest of the year.
Okay. This is new to me, audience.
There's 16 episodes left in this year, or thereabouts.
16? Okay.
Maybe slightly less. We can do 16 good things. I want to start knocking out some good stuff we haven't watched yet. We've been stalling a little bit so that we don't run out of runway, but fuck it, let's stop stalling. Let's watch some good shit for the end of 2024 because we deserve it. And who knows how the elections? Who knows how the election's going to turn out? Who knows how sad we're going to be at the end of this year? Yeah. And we're going to start this off. Maybe next week, maybe 2 weeks. We're not sure, but the next one we're planning to do is going to be. Josh, do you want to announce it?
It's a little film directed by our buddy Jimmy Cameron called The Terminator.
Yes.
We are going to what was that?
Ex-husband of Catherine Bigelow.
Yes. What was that? 1984?
Sounds right. I believe it.
Yeah. It stars a guy you might have heard of when he was imitated on this program earlier.
Michael Biehn, is that?
Michael Biehn? Yes.
Biehn, yeah.
I'm honestly not sure how his name is pronounced. Anyway, we're going to watch The Terminator, and that will set us up to watch the rest of the Terminator movies, which will, of course, set us up to do Dun 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 Judgment Day.
Yes. Watching it for this show is not going to ruin Judgment Day. I've already seen it a million times, so let's watch it again. Yeah. And finally, a movie my wife will be happy to watch with me.
I am right now staring at the Blu-ray of the Terminator collection on my shelf.
It's staring back with that one red eye.
Yeah.
We've tortured ourselves.
Dun, 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 dun.
We did this movie. We did fucking Lawnmower Man. Come on, we deserve it.
Yeah, we do. We are going to do our best to have nothing like, even if they aren't all good movies that we could reasonably expect to be entertained by.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to go out on a limb and assume that Nemesis 2 is going to be a good movie, but if we decide, like, we could decide to cover that.
Yeah.
And I expect it would at least be interesting.
Yeah.
We're going to...
One was good.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a bold claim to call it NBB 2024, but God damn it, I want to... Yeah. I'm not going to purposefully choose any bad movies for the lulz. Now, January 2025 comes, get ready for some trash.
I got chills just thinking about it.
But we'll see. Anyway, Terminator next week, unless we have something else in there. We're not exactly sure yet, but
yeah, we might. We'll see. Be prepared. In the year of darkness, 2029, the rulers of this planet devised the ultimate plan. They would reshape the future by changing the past. The plan required something that felt no pity, no pain, no fear. Something unstoppable. They created the Terminator.
Sounds delightful. Check us out on Twitter and Blue Sky. Look for High Tech Low Life Podcast. On Twitter, it's Johnny 60 Seconds. Also, if you feel so inclined, we have a Patreon where you can give $5 and get some other content we do. Don't do that through the iTunes app. The iTunes app wants to charge you more. Do it through the web or through the Android app. Patreon.com/hightechlowlife. And that's going to do it. Do you have a quote to kick us out on?
In fact, I do. Kick us out is perfectly chosen. The good Lord always says to turn the other cheek. Swings foot up, kicking Michelet in the groin. Michelet moans in pain. But he never had to deal with dickheads like you.
See you later.
This has been the High Tech Low Life Podcast. Find us on Twitter at Johnny60seconds, email us at hightechlowlifepodcast@gmail.com, and find us on Patreon at patreon.com/hightechlowlife. Theme music by Nihilor at nihilor.com. Thank you for listening.
Keep it moving. Come on, what are you waiting on?
They're trashing our rights, man! They're trashing the fluid data! They're trashing! Trashing! Trashing!